Over 30 million people are expected to cruise this year, and a huge chunk of them will be first-timers who have no idea what they're walking into. Whether you're sailing Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Virgin, doesn't matter. These 21 tips are going to save you time, save you money, and honestly, they're going to make you look like a seasoned cruiser from the moment you step on the gangway. I'm Alec, cruise and travel specialist here at Destination Luxe, and I put this list together from years of cruising, hundreds of conversations with first-timers, and the questions I see popping up on Facebook every single week. So if you're about to take your first cruise, or even your second, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Cruising is easy, or so cruisers will tell you. You only unpack once, even as you travel from place to place. You don't have to go hunting for a restaurant each night. Dining spots are usually just steps away from your cabin with tables waiting for you. And entertainment, it just finds you. But even with all that simplicity, cruising can be genuinely daunting for a first-timer. What should you bring? What should you plan for in ports? What's the best way to book? What are the mistakes that nobody warns you about until it's too late? That's exactly what this video is for. I've organized these 21 tips into 3 categories: what you do before you sail, what you do on the ship, and what to know about ports and planning, so you can follow along and check them off as you go. Let's start with the most important one. If you only follow one piece of advice from this entire video, let it be this one. This is the only way to guarantee you won't miss your ship, and trust me, it happens to way more cruisers than you'd think. Most cruises depart in the afternoon, so it might seem perfectly fine to fly or drive in the morning, but all it takes is one moderate flight delay or a huge pileup on the freeway that could blow those plans apart. And here's the thing, if you're delayed getting to the port, the ship will not wait for you. It's gone. If you're traveling overseas for a cruise, I push that to even 2 or 3 days early. Not just so you don't miss the ship, but so you have time to recover from jet lag. European cruises in particular can be port intensive with tons of touring, so you want to be refreshed and ready to hit the ground running from day one. One extra night at a hotel is a small price to pay compared to watching your ship sail away from the dock. Here's something first-timers never think about. When you arrive at the ship, before you even board, porters will whisk away your checked baggage. It gets delivered to your cabin later, sometimes hours later. So think about it. You're on this incredible ship, the pool is right there, the sun is out, and your bathing suit is somewhere in the belly of the vessel. So pack anything you'll need in those first few hours in your carry-on bag. Medication for sure, but also a phone charger, bathing suit, hat, sunscreen. That way you can head straight to the pool deck and start enjoying your trip the second you step on board. Which brings us to something that a lot of first-timers stress about way too much. Here's my strategy, and I swear by it. Throw all of the clothes that you think you'll need in a pile, then put half of them back. You won't need them. Trust me. Most cruising these days is casual. You really only need a few outfits to rotate through the voyage, and if things get dirty, no problem. A lot of ships have self-serve laundrettes right in the cabin decks where you can run a load or 2 every few days. If not, you can send laundry out to be cleaned on board. It usually comes back within a day or 2. The small cost of doing a couple loads of laundry on a ship is well worth the freedom of not lugging a massive suitcase through airports and terminals. Plus, you're going to want that extra suitcase space for all the little treasures you pick up along the way. Now, while we're talking about what to bring, let's talk about something most first-timers have no idea they're allowed to even do. A lot of first-time cruisers assume they can't bring their own drinks on a ship, but many lines actually allow it, usually with some limits. And this is one of the easiest ways to save money because drink prices on board can add up fast. Disney Cruise Line, for example, lets adults bring up to 2 bottles of unopened wine or champagne or 6 beers at the start of the cruise and at every port of call. And over at Royal Caribbean, 1 bottle of wine or champagne per passenger at boarding, plus up to a dozen standard cans, bottles, or cartons of non-alcoholic drinks per cabin. One caveat. Many lines charge a corkage fee if you bring your own wine into an onboard restaurant, so read the rules for your specific cruise line before you pick that bottle. Speaking of things to pack, here's a small move that can save you a surprising amount of money. Yes, you can find sunscreen, aspirin, and band-aids on a cruise ship, but it'll cost you. Cruise lines know you're a captive audience, and they price their shipboard stores accordingly. I personally have a small go bag of over-the-counter medicines that I throw in my suitcase for every cruise. Cold medicine, seasickness pills, pain relievers. I rarely use any of it, but I also never get hit with a ridiculous onboard charge when I do. And while we're on sundries, if you're bringing a camera, don't forget extra batteries. But toiletries are just the beginning. Here are 6 other things experienced cruisers never leave home without. Cruising regulars often bring Clorox wipes or something similar to wipe down surfaces in the cabin when they arrive, and to take along shore excursions. I'll be honest, I've never done this, though I know I should, if nothing else, at least to wipe down the TV remote. Now here's the rest of the list. Room freshener spray, a foldable shoe rack to hang in the cabin bathroom for storing toiletries, a highlighter for marking up the daily activity planner, and a lanyard for your cabin key card. Now, I am of course far too cool to put a lanyard around my neck, which means I have to stay hyper vigilant about the key card in my pocket. Sometimes forget to take it out before getting in the hot tub, and I've caught it floating a few times before. Learn from my mistakes. Some cruisers also swear by bringing magnets. For fire safety, walls on cruise ships are often made of metal, even if they look like wood, thanks to faux veneers, so magnets will stick. You can use them to pin up dinner invitations, excursion tickets, and other important papers. Some people even bring magnets with hooks to hang clothes and gear on the wall. Quick pause. If you're finding these useful, do me a huge favor and smash that subscribe button. I put out new cruise and travel content every single week to help you travel smarter and get more out of every trip. All right, let's keep it going. I know. You just got on the cruise ship. Everything's exciting and that buffet is calling your name. But here's what nobody tells you. Everybody heads straight to the buffet on embarkation day. It's an absolute zoo. Instead, find whatever secondary dining option is available. A lot of ships will open one of their table service restaurants for lunch on embarkation day, and it'll be significantly less crowded. Better food, calmer vibe, and you start your cruise feeling like a pro instead of fighting for a spot in the buffet line. Now that you're on board and settled in, let's talk about one of the biggest rookie mistakes I see. Some cruise lines let you reserve shows, specialty restaurant dinners, tours, and other activities before you even sail through their online portals. If there's something specific you want to do, a certain show on a certain night, a particular restaurant, book it early. On bigger ships especially, the best reservations will fill up fast. If you don't book in advance, your backup strategy is to sign up the moment you board. But honestly, whether you need to race to sign up depends on the ship. On a smaller vessel, you probably got time. On a behemoth like Royal Caribbean's Icon classes of ships, where thousands of passengers are competing for the same slots, get ahead of it. But here's where I want to balance that urgency with something equally important. While we're on the topic of activities, it's totally okay if you miss a few things. You do not have to do it all. In fact, I want you to force yourself to not try to do everything. Remember, you're on vacation. Relax, take some downtime. Sit on your balcony if you have one, and just stare out at the ocean for a couple of hours. No agenda, no itinerary, just you in the water. You won't regret it, I promise. Now, here's a tip that sounds small, but could save you literally thousands of dollars. Some of the biggest cruise horror stories on the internet are tales of first-timers who racked up thousands of dollars in cell phone charges on a ship. This happens when you leave your phone turned on and, say, watch videos, scroll social media, or even just let apps refresh in the background. Many phone plans, even international ones, do not cover usage on cruise ships. You'll pay exorbitant roaming rates that show up on your bill weeks later. Here's what I do, and I keep it dead simple. The moment I step on board, I put my phone in airplane mode, and I don't touch the setting until I'm back on dry land. Then I turn on Wi-Fi, buy the ship's Wi-Fi package, and do all my calling, texting, and browsing over Wi-Fi. FaceTime, streaming, all of it works on most ships. And there's zero chance of getting blindsided by a surprise charge. Some carriers offer cruise-specific plans. You can buy it in advance, but I personally never go that route. Keep it simple and you'll be fine. And since we're talking about your phone, there's an app you'll want to download before you even leave home. A growing number of cruise lines now have dedicated apps you can download before sailing. What they offer varies by line, but many will show you a daily list of activities, everything you've reserved, and let you make restaurant reservations and book shore excursions right from your phone. Some apps even let you order drinks and food to wherever you happen to be standing on the ship. That's pretty cool, right? And here's the best part. The apps work on board even if you don't pay for a Wi-Fi package. They run on the ship's internal network, so download it before you leave, get familiar with it, and you'll already be one step ahead. Now, let's talk about something that's going to save you real money, and you won't even realize you need this tip until it's too late. Most cruise ships now automatically add a gratuity to bar bills, usually 18% to 20%. The same goes for an increasing number of ship spas. The problem? A lot of first-timers don't know this. They see the additional tip line on the receipt and write in another 15 to 20% on top of the automatic gratuity. That's a generous instinct, but it means you're essentially double tipping without realizing it. Before you sign any bar or spa receipt, just ask, is the gratuity already included? That one question could save you hundreds of dollars over the course of a cruise. And speaking of saving money, let's talk about a cabin mistake that won't cost you cash, but could definitely cost you sleep. Not every cabin on a ship is created equal. When choosing your room, steer clear of cabins near elevators and directly above nightclubs or late night venues. They can be surprisingly noisy. Same goes for cabins just below the pool deck, near the anchor chain, and near casinos. The pool deck means foot traffic and chair dragging starting at 6 a.m. The anchor chain means a jarring racket every time the ship drops or raises the anchor. And the casino? Slot machine sounds carry further than you think. Do a little research on ship layouts before you book. A few minutes of homework here will pay off in nights of solid sleep. All right, we're about to get into the port day tips, which is where a lot of first-timers leave money on the table. But real quick, if you're planning a cruise and want someone in your corner to help you get this stuff right, I've got a link in the description where you can work directly with me as your travel advisor. I'll help you dial in all the details, maximize the value, and avoid the mistakes most people don't even realize they're making. Now, let's talk ports and planning. There are some vacations, a beach trip for instance, where you can just show up and wing it. Most cruises are not like that. Not if you want to get the most out of them. Port calls are the heart of most cruises, and in many cases, they're incredibly short, sometimes just a few hours. If you don't have a plan, you'll waste precious time figuring out what to do while the clock ticks down. Once you know your itinerary, research every port as much as you can. Look at travel sites, watch YouTube videos, yeah, including mine, and figure out what's worth your time before you arrive. And here's where the real goldmine of port research lives. There are tons of private Facebook groups dedicated to specific cruise lines. I belong to several, including the Royal Caribbean Cruises group. But here's the pro move. Search for a Facebook group for your exact sailing. These get surprisingly specific. People in these groups are talking about your exact ship, your exact itinerary, your exact departure date. They're sharing tips, organizing group excursions, and flagging things you never even think to ask about. It's the kind of intel you can't get from a blog post. And once you've done that research, here's how to put it all into action at every port. Booking a shore excursion through your cruise line is the easy route. You check a box and it's done. But easy isn't always best. In many cases, you can save money and get a better experience by booking through an independent tour operator or platforms like Viator or Shore Excursions Group. Independent tours are often more intimate. Think a small van with 6 to 8 people instead of a 40-person motor coach. If your group is big enough, you might even be able to snag a private tour. Independent tours can also take you to places the cruise line tours don't go. And many of the tours on third-party platforms come with a return to ship guarantee, so you're not sacrificing peace of mind for a better experience. Now, there's one thing you should always have on you when you step off the ship, and most first-timers don't even think about it. When you go ashore, always bring the ship's contact information. It's usually printed on the newsletter that gets delivered to your cabin each night. Just snap a photo of it with your phone. If something goes wrong while you're away from the ship, you get lost, you're running late, or there's an emergency, you'll want to reach the cruise line immediately. Don't assume that you'll just figure it out. Have the number ready. All right, we've covered a lot of port and ship tips. Let's zoom out and talk about 2 booking strategies that could save you serious stress and money before you ever set foot on the gangway. Given how many moving pieces go into booking a cruise, and trust me, there are more than you think, this is where working with a travel advisor makes a real difference. A good advisor is going to understand how you like to travel, what you actually value in a vacation, and guide you toward the right cruise line, ship, itinerary, and cabin. Not just what looks good on the website. And if anything goes sideways before, during, or after your trip, you've got someone in your corner to handle it. But here's the part most people don't realize. You're not paying extra for that help. In a lot of cases, I'm able to secure additional onboard credit, perks, or better overall value than you'd get booking it on your own. So, if you want help putting your cruise together the right way the first time, there's a link in the description where you can work directly with me. I'll help you build something that actually fits to how you want to travel, not just what's available. Nobody likes thinking about this, but it's important. What if you need to cancel your cruise last minute due to a sudden illness? What if you need emergency medical attention while on board? What if your flight to the next port gets canceled and you miss the ship entirely? All of these things happen to cruisers. And without travel insurance, you could be looking at thousands of dollars in losses. Your travel advisor can help you figure out whether insurance makes sense for your specific sailing, what's covered, what's not, and whether it's worth the cost. For most first-timers, I'd say it's worth serious consideration. The peace of mind alone is valuable. All right, I promised you 21 tips. Here are 2 bonus ones that most people overlook but can generally make or break your trip. Cruise cabins are notorious for having barely any outlets. And you've got phones, cameras, and tablets, watches, all that need charging. Bring a non-surge protector power strip or a USB charging hub. Surge protectors are banned on most ships for safety reasons, but a basic power strip or multi-USB adapter is usually fine. This tiny piece of gear will save you and your travel partner from fighting over a single outlet every night. And finally, one more tip that experienced cruisers know, but first-timers almost always miss. On most cruise ships, charges pile up on your onboard account throughout the voyage. Drinks, excursions, spa treatments, specialty dining. On the last night, the ship will slip a final statement under your door. Review it carefully. Billing errors happen way more often than you'd expect. I've caught incorrect charges on my account multiple times. If you spot something off, head to guest services that night. Don't wait until disembarkation morning where the line is 200 people deep. And that's it. 21 tips to make your first cruise go as smoothly as possible. If you take even half of these with you, you're going to step on that ship feeling more confident than 90% of the people around you. Listen, your first cruise should be exciting. It should be freeing. It should remind you why you work as hard as you do. And if you plan it right, it absolutely will be. If this video helped you, hit that subscribe button. I've got a ton of cruise content coming that's going to help you plan smarter, travel better, and get the most out of every single trip. And drop a comment below telling me, what cruise are you planning? I'd love to hear about it, and I'll try to respond to everyone's comments. Your time off is powerful. Use it boldly. Thanks for watching, and as always, safe travels.